to land a spacecraft near the moon's south pole, a moment of history for the country. It was a tense final 6 minutes as it descended onto the lunar surface. Let's show you the moment first of all. Let's take you inside the control room. Just before landing, remember this was an uncrewed spacecraft, so no one on board. Everything controlled from here in the control room. And just to explain what we're going to see, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wasn't there, so he was being beamed him on a screen to watch. Also on the screen was a graphic, computer-generated representation of the Lambda as it descended. Right, let's now take a moment that happened. Foreign applause. So you can see the cheers, the celebrations. Landing on that part of the moon is no easy task, and you can see there Narendra Modi, very happy, waving that flag. Let's hear what he said. Friends, on this joyous occasion, I would like to address all the people of the world, the people of every country and region. India's successful moon mission is not just India's alone. This is a year in which the world is witnessing India G20 presidency. Our approach of one Earth, one family, one future is resonating across the globe. This human-centric approach that we present and that will represent had been welcome universally. Our moon mission is also based on the same human-centric approach. Therefore, this success belongs to all of humanity, and it will help missions by other countries in the future. I am confident that all countries in the world, including those from the global south, are capable of achieving such feats. We can all aspire for the moon and beyond. While the baby sees Archana Shukla is at a planetarium in Mumbai. What a moment. India is now on the moon, in the words of the Prime Minister. What a moment for the country. Foreign moment for people here in India, as the country created history to be the first one to land on the south pole of the moon. And contribute to the global space research with such important aspects. And you know this is important, and you know there were scenes of jubilation, people chanting patriotic slogans, hugging, distributing sweets, because it's a moment of joy and a moment of pride for everybody around. It also brings India up on the ladder to be part of the elite club of just 4 countries to have made a soft landing on the moon, and also takes it gives it a credible approach and a credible push to the cost-competitive space engineering that India has been doing. After the failure in 2019, it was really an important attempt by India to position itself. I remember it's just been 3 years that India has opened up the space industry for private players here, because the government wants to make the space economy a larger portion and expand it, and we've already seen the startups coming into this space double in number in just 3 years' time, and that is the kind of interest that's coming in. And when we were talking to enthusiasts, people, especially even young audiences who are here to watch the live screening, they were all talking about the prospects this builds for India to grow in the space economy, to build on from here, and also build more jobs around the space sector for youth coming in. So on a lot of accounts, this is a historic moment for India as well as for the world, and India's contribution into the space research. Yeah, it's a huge achievement landing in this part of the moon, the south, near the south pole, because it's so much harder to land there than near the equator, as it's been done before. But it's not over, as people are still watching, because the landing has taken place. The next step is the rover rolling out of the land there and on its wheels. then going out on a little explore. That's what's coming up next. Foreign. Lander and the rover are going to spend 1 lunar day, which is equal to 14 Earth days on the Moon's south pole, collecting data from the surface, collecting evidence, looking at the craters, looking at the Moon quakes, gathering information, and most importantly looking for water on the lunar surface, especially on the South Pole, which is considered by scientists as one of the most valuable assets on the Moon, because that, scientists say, will pave the way for a human habitation on the Moon in future, and it would also support more lunar explorations and missions in the future. And then that is something to look out for in the LA in the next 14 days. One thing that ISRO pointed out, they said that the last mission in 2019 was focused on success, and this mission was focused on failure, so it was a failure-oriented mission, which means they had built in for all the failures that could come, and then that has added to the success, and this is also what will support the exploration in the next 14 days, with the payloads, with the scientific instruments that are on Vikram lander that would be collecting material and matter and data not only for the world, not only for India, but for the world when it comes to lunar explorations. That's a great staff. Thank you very much for that. Let's speak now to Dr. Raji Rajagopalan, the director of the Center for Security Strategy and Technology at the Observer Research Foundation in Delhi, which is a think tank. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you for having me. So how important is this then for India? This is of course an important moment for India. It's a matter of pride, as was mentioned, but it's also a demonstration of the growing sophistication, growing maturity of India space program in it, because India, when it began its base program, interplanetary missions or deep space missions like Chandrayaan were not part of the Indian space goals, but clearly India has matured in terms of its capabilities, develop advanced capabilities, deep space communication capabilities, and so on. So this is a demonstration, this is a validation of many of the advanced technologies that India has, the Data Space Agency has developed and put in place, and because these are still very complex missions, very challenging in terms of things could go wrong at the very last minute, as was seen in the case of just a few days ago, the Russian mission Lunar 25, or even in 2019 what happened to India's Chandrayaan-2 mission, or even few days prior to that. You had an Israeli firm that was undertaking a similar mission again. Crash landed. So these just goes to show that lunar missions are still very complicated, very complex mission, and challenging. So if you get it right, that's fantastic. It's hugely challenging, and then delighted as well. So many people will be delighted of the success so far. I just want to talk to you about the cost, because of course it's a lot of money. All these things are, but actually, relatively speaking, India has not spent a great deal of money on this. Is that significant? Yeah, that is absolutely significant, but I think we also and the cost for the children too was about close to about 150 million, and if you were to compare with other similar missions that are undertaken, India's missions have always been very, very cost effective, 1/5 or 1/10 of other such missions, but India's missions are also at this point of time more of a technology demonstrator and not a large scientific mission that many of the other advanced space players may be doing. Nevertheless, India's attempt is at not duplicating replicating what others have done, but complementing to what others have done. So in a sense, we are not landing. India decided to land to do a soft landing on the southern pole of the moon again is a decision that is taken by because we want to expand the humanities' understanding of the lunar surface in terms of the study of the rock, study of the chemicals, chemical components, the element and elements in the Illinois surface, and of course the water ice on the moon. I think that's been an area of curiosity to a large number of folks in the scientific community across the world, not just to the Indian scientific community or the ISRO. So I think these are things that are going to be done, but I think it does have also some spinner of benefits in terms of even in the financial terms when you look at it, because when India undertook the Chandrayaan mission first, born in 2008, or when it did the Mangalyaan and the Mars mission in 2014, again it highlighted India space program, that it's a cost-effective space program but capable of undertaking complex missions. So I think India has established there for us a credible space power in that sense. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you. I'll just give you a heads up about exactly what does happen next. I was talking about that rover, smaller vehicle which is inside the aircraft that landed that once the dust has settled, I think quite literally, around the landing site, a couple of hours breathing space, then they're going to try and deploy that rover across the moon's surface. As and when that happens, of course we will bring that to you.